Hey there, Louis Ecobelis here. Thanks for stopping by. In this tutorial, I am going to be showing you where the underlying data from approvals sent in the Microsoft Teams approval app is stored, and I'm also going to be showing you how you can get to that data. So before we get started, just very quickly, according to Microsoft, the first approval that is created from the actual approvals app in Teams will trigger the creation or the provisioning of an approval solution in the default Common Data Service environment. Now, CDS or Common Data Service is the actual Microsoft Azure Business Application Platform that enables you to build flows if you're working in Microsoft Power Automate and apps if you're working in Microsoft Power Apps. Now, when I talk about an approval solution in the context of Power Automate, a solution is really just a container of the different components that make up an app. Again, if you're in Power Apps, or a flow if you're in Power Automate. And some examples of those components, these are things like the entities that we're storing in terms of data, data tables, views, fields, relationships between entities, business rules, etc. Okay. Now, according to Microsoft, again, approvals created in the approvals app in Teams will be stored in the default Common Data Service environment. Okay, and there is actually a data table in there that stores those requests, and we'll go ahead and have a look. Now, before we get started, in order to access the default Common Data Service, you will require administrative privileges over your Office 365 or Microsoft 365 environment. So I'm logged in here to flow.microsoft.com with my admin account. And the first thing you want to do to be able to access that data is to go ahead and click on Solutions. Now this is going to show you the default solutions that are created by using some of these tools included in Microsoft Power Automate and Power Apps, and or your solutions that you've created by working on different platforms such as Power Apps, for example. Okay, now to access the approvals data, what you want to do here is you want to go ahead and click on Default Solution. Okay, and again, this is going to show you a list of all of the different components that exist in this environment. Okay, and the next thing that you want to do is you want to come up to the search box and you want to search for approval. All right, and so now you'll notice that the result is showing any component that features the word approval in it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to sort this. Okay, and of interest to us to be able to access the underlying approvals data are the data tables. Okay, now there's actually a few different tables, so if you are interested in perhaps connecting to these tables for the purposes of reporting or for building out other workflows, you'll probably want to do a bit of a deep dive into these tables. I'm going to quickly show you each of them. So I'm going to start with the actual approval table. So clicking on this is going to bring us into this table definition. Okay, by default, Power Automate is going to display the actual columns on this table. So if you just take a quick scan, you can see here created by, for example, created on, details, due dates, links to any items that you're including in your approval request, modified by, owner, result, status, etc. Okay, so the columns tab will show you the definition. If you actually want to see the underlying data for requests that have been submitted, you want to go ahead and click on Data. Okay, and you want to come up to the top right hand of your interface here and you want to select all columns. And this is the actual underlying data for requests that have been created. Okay, so you can see here details. So this corresponds to the description that's put into the approval request. Link to an item if you have populated that, a link to the description of the item, okay, your result, okay, and the title for your actual approval, okay. Now I'm just going to come back out to my default solution. So that was the approvals table. Again, I'm just going to look for all of the components that feature the word approval. I'm going to sort to easily find my tables. Okay, if I want details about the actual request, I'm going to click on the approval request table. Okay, so you can again see the column definition for this table, and there's some overlap again between this and the approvals table. I'm going to go ahead and click on data so we can actually see some of the data behind the requests that have been created. Click on all columns. And again, here I can actually see some of the details behind those requests. Okay, I'm going to come back out to our default solution one last time. Look for approvals, sort. Okay, and we looked at approval and approval request. I'm going to click on approval response. And again, we can see some overlaps in terms of the column definition here. So I'm going to just quickly go ahead and click on data. And I'm going to click on all columns. And again, you can see the details here associated with the actual responses to approval requests. You can see the comments here, the owner, the response stage, etc. Okay, so that's it. This was just a quick tutorial. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, please like the video, please comment below, and if you want to stay up to date on the latest Microsoft Power Automate tutorials, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by. Talk soon.